You're live.
Oh, not for me, but
We're live?
are we live for you, Andrew?
Nope.
Oh,
We
you're
have
not
an
live?
open exec session, Mary. You can't get on yet, so Kyle gets into it.
Oh, we're good.
We're in?
Yep, we're live.
Yes, sir.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, August 11th, 2020 Warwick School Committee meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Pursuant to Executive Order number 20-05 issued by the Governor of the State of Rhode Island, this meeting will be conducted by electronic communication only. Members of the public wishing to access this meeting may do so at https://YOUTU:/KPKPYOC5VIO. This time I call the meeting to order. At this time we will vote to go into closed session for discussion and/or action regarding those items of business exempt from open meetings under general laws of Rhode Island, RIGL 42-46-5, A1, A2, A4, A8, and A9.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We're in executive session. So now we get out?
Yep.
Kathy, I just stay on?
Yes.
Okay. Hello?
Hi, Regina. Everybody's in the executive session.
Hello, everyone again. Hi, Kevin. Miss Glory. Steve. Who else is here?
Hello.
Bill. Hi, Jeff. I never officially have met you, but welcome. And Regina, I don't know who you are.
Regina is my guidance department head.
Oh, you're the new person we just hired. That's why I don't recognize you.
No, she's not new. She's not new. She's
Oh,
Tollgate's guidance department head.
oh, okay. Well, I just haven't really met her then.
Yeah,
So,
she's
hi.
awesome. She's awesome.
I think we're all awesome.
I think you're right.
Huh? Dr. Cecil. How's it going, my friend? Got to turn your microphone on.
It's going well, going well.
I
No.
started dog training.
Here, she's just waiting to be able to stand for the pledge.
Yep. Happy started school, and he got an A his first day. Yeah, he's doing better. We're trying to get him to not resource guard me.
I don't know why it tickled me so, but I'm sure everyone saw me laughing when Judy said that she thinks we are all awesome. I just lost it.
Yeah, we're awesome. Who else? Everybody else I've just been with. Hi, Wendy. John, hi. Kim, hi.
Whoa, is that my junior high school vice principal I see right there?
Table 6 through 10. Just get all these things bought. No, it's Kyle and Kathy, I think. Oh, Jesus. I think he's okay now.
Are we waiting on anyone?
I don't think so.
At this time, I call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Vote to seal the minutes of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You guys have it. There were no votes taken in executive session. Public comment.
Madam Chair, you need to make a vote on that, the grievance at this point.
We need to vote on grievance number, wise grievance number 20-489.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the grievance as heard and discussed in executive session.
So moved. Second, rather. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Grievance is denied. Thank you, Ms. Copley. At this time, we move to public comment.
We don't have too many. We have a few, though. This is from, Henry Whitford. I hope that all your options are up for each individual to decide. For some, distance learning is an irresponsible option to have forced onto them. We do not live in a society where parents are often home and not required to work. The kids are more afraid of getting COVID, and most will have to be told to remove their masks for certain periods of time. I know this is a huge undertaking for the teachers and staff. We have seen so many take on this extra burden due to the times. It is not asking too much. Option A is the right way to go. Mental health is very important, and these kids need each other. Tough choices will have to be made inside families about who should see their children once school starts. Maybe grandma should Zoom, but classes to younger children are meant to be done over Zoom. Maybe in the older kids. Let those who can or want their children to do distance learning also do that. Maybe one teacher per grade for distance learning. I know there is a risk. There is always risk. If some of the lowest paid professions can survive all this time, our school department should have no issues. This is from Darrell Gorton. Dear members of the school committee, I am writing to you today with my concerns about opening the school safely. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge everyone's hard work and diligence in doing their best to consider scenarios and potential safety concerns for the upcoming school year. I am writing in regards to the middle level school plan. It is my understanding that students will be scheduled a single classroom with up to 50% of the students present. In this scenario, the district clearly states that they will be able to provide, if partial in person and limited in person, we will be able to provide 3 to 6 feet of distance. Students will be required to wear their mask throughout the school day since they are unable to maintain recommended CDC spacing. In addition, teachers will rotate to the different class pods. That means that each teacher will be moving between 5 to 6 pods per school day. It is unclear as to whether or not they will be able to social distance the recommended 6 feet or not. Also, these teachers will be moving these students throughout the hallways for restroom breaks and hand washing. A teacher will be required to remain with the pod while the students have lunch in their assigned pod. I have sent a copy of this letter to school committee members in advance of this reading to allow for possible responses to these very serious concerns. If a teacher is with 5 to 6 pods throughout the day, it is possible to cross-pollinate the other pods if a teacher is exposed at some point during the school day. As a matter of fact, Harvard epidemiologist Dr. William Hanage says to reporter Joe Matthew of WGBH News, so I actually think that the hybrid model is probably among the worst that we could be putting forward if our goal is to stop the virus getting into schools. If students are less than the 6 feet social distance recommendation by CDC guidelines, how do students safely remove their masks to eat? This creates an exposure situation to them, their peers, and also the teacher assigned to that pod. What is the cleaning policy for each pod once the students have eaten? Who and how will tables and stations be cleaned? Students must travel throughout the building to utilize the restrooms. Currently, it is believed that the virus lives airborne for at least 6 minutes. Students will need to traverse the hallways in order to use restrooms and hand washing. The plan calls for hand washing every hour. Will wash stations be set up in the classroom, or will students be required to return to the restrooms each hour? Has the schedule been set for this? What is the estimated time for this scenario to take place, and has it been considered against the instructional time? For example, 2 minutes to boys lab, plus assuming 1 to 2 students in lab at a time at 6 students, 2 minutes each group, plus return to the classroom or girls lab, and then using the same scenario, this could take anywhere from 10 or more minutes each hour. Additionally, with 10 or more pods per wing, how could this be reasonably scheduled? Are we assuming that the use of hand sanitizer will be considered the equivalent of hand washing? When a teacher leaves the classroom to move to the next pod, who will ensure students remain reasonably distanced and continue to stay masked? Who is responsible to ensure students socially distance and are wearing masks when entering and exiting? What will be the consequences if students are not following the rules? Even with the reopening plan at 25% capacity, many of these concerns are still valid, especially how do we ensure safety while students eat? In the CDC's consideration for schools operating during COVID-19, it clearly states that the risk of COVID-19 spread increases in school settings as follows. Lowest risk, students and teachers engage in virtual-only classes, activities, and events. More risk, small in-person classes, activities, and events. Groups of students stay together and with the same teacher across school days, and groups do not mix. Students remain at least 6 feet apart and do not share objects. Hybrid virtual and in-person class structures or staggered rotated scheduling to accommodate smaller class sizes. Highest risk, full-sized in-person classes, activities, and events. Students are not spaced apart, share classroom materials or supplies, and mix between classes and activities. No one questions whether students need to return to the classroom. The concern is whether or not this can be done safely at this point in time. As researchers continue to review these plans, it is becoming evident that to ensure student and faculty safety, the committee should consider a virtual model at the middle and high school levels. It is only at the elementary level that students have a better chance of remaining in a true stable pod. As always, I thank you for your dedication to all members of the Warwick Public School community and hope that you will choose the safest option for when considering when and how to reopen our schools. Darylyn Gorton. This is from Mark Biavetti. I would suggest breaking all students into 2 groups like A and B. A group is in class for 2 weeks while group B is learning at home and then they reverse. In effect, this allows each group to quarantine to minimize possible exposures and makes it simple for after-school programs and daycare to follow the same scheduling. This is from Laura Dillon. I'm the mother of a rising 4th grader and rising kindergartner in Warwick. I have been virtually attending the school committee meetings since the beginning of the pandemic and just wanted to reach out and say thank you. It's clear from watching the meetings that everyone on both the admin side and the school committee has the safety and health of our community at heart. You are all asked to make a seemingly impossible feat possible without adequate funding, time, or resources. Watching the meetings, it is obvious that you aren't taking any of these decisions lightly, and it's clear that you all feel the weight of these decisions. On top of all of this, every decision that is made has a very strong counter argument and people who don't agree with it. I have listened to other public comments and sit thinking about how what is being said isn't wrong at all, but also isn't completely in your hands. I do not envy any of your jobs. As a parent, I don't even know what the right decision for my children is at this point. But what I do know is that your leadership and dedication makes me feel comfortable to even consider sending my children back into the classroom. In closing, I don't think that we express our appreciation enough. Thank you. Thank you for putting the time, effort, hard work, and diligence into this pandemic response and getting our kids back to school in whatever fashion that may be. And thank you to everyone else behind the scenes who have sat on committees. Thank you for caring about our kids and our teachers. This is my last one from Matthew Schlitt. I understand this is a little late, but hopefully my comment can make it to tonight's meeting. Given the recent studies showing that the main mode of transmission is not via contact transfer from surfaces, and the main mode of transmission is via person to person through the air, how much spending is being done for these deep cleaning days? And would that funding be better spent on ventilation upgrades or providing high quality masks to all students on a daily or weekly, if not possible, basis? That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Bonet. Thank you to everybody. Made comments. Moving right along. There are no donation announcements and no committee correspondence. This time I would ask for approval of minutes of the public session for July 1, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the approval of warrants for August 11th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Personnel announcements, retirements, and resignations. Dr. Thornton.
Actually, it's Miss Ruggieri.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. We have no retirements or resignations tonight. As far as leave of absence, we have one teacher assistant who is being appointed as a teacher. So he's requesting leave of absence from his teaching assistant position for the year. So I need a vote on that.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. 5-0.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, do we know who that is? Can we,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It's Brendan Ford.
thank
Good
you.
luck, Mr. Ford.
So I'll be reading his name in the next group.
Oh,
We have several appointments for this month as we're getting ready for school to start. We have Caitlin Alexander as an art teacher at Veterans. All the effective dates are the first day of school. We have Jacqueline Freitas as a pre-K special educator in the IASE program at Welk. Ashley Potter is a Category 1 50% elementary art teacher at Norwood and Park Elementary Schools. Dawn Manchester, elementary teacher grade 3 at Warwick Neck. Tracy Scotty, middle school math teacher at Veterans. Susan J., school nurse teacher, Sherman. Emily West, elementary special educator, grade 5 co-taught at Norwood. Kathleen Alvarez, category 1 science teacher at Winman. Emily Lawrence, middle school math teacher at Winman. Jessica Hassel, elementary special educator, grade 4 co-taught at Norwood Elementary. Brenda Sonnenschein, a tech ed teacher at Winman. Brittany Carbone, elementary special educator resource at Lippet. Lauren Govin, middle school math teacher at Winman. Rachel O'Leary, science teacher biogen at Tollgate. Donna Nassa, 50% special educator in the parochial schools. Mary Fagnoli Leone, 50% secondary special educator in the parochial schools. Brendan Ford, elementary special educator in the IES program at Warwick Neck. Stephanie Hozempa, social worker at Welk and Greenwood. Mary Lou Bodo, social worker at Holloman and Robertson. Christina Costa, social worker at Oakland Beach. Audra Williamson, a library media specialist at Lippert Robertson. Those are all the professional appointments we have, and we have one classified appointment of Maureen LaGrange at the front office of Tollgate High School, front office assistant guidance clerk, and that is effective August 21st. I'd like to welcome everyone to Warwick Schools, and we look forward to meeting you.
Welcome, everyone. Adoption of policies, Dr. Cecil.
Yes, good evening. GBE, the copy that I sent was not the corrected copy. So I want to read the corrected copy into the record, and then we'll post that tomorrow. I'll read the parts that are new. The COVID-19, in order to provide for an effective developmental and educational environment and to ensure the safety of teachers, students, and staff, the Warwick School Committee will require all persons inside of a Warwick Public Schools facility to wear a face mask. This includes adults, including educators, staff, and visitors, students age 2 and above. Mask/face coverings must also be worn by all students on the bus. Masks must fully cover the nose and mouth. Face shields worn in place of a face covering must extend below the chin and back to the ears. A student may take off a mask when it's approved by a teacher or school administrator in situations where social distancing and/or other medical guidance permits it. Students with special needs documented in an individualized education plan, IEP, or 504 may be accommodated or exempt from this mandate at the recommendation of the IEP or 504 case manager in consultation with the parent. Students with medical conditions as documented in an individual healthcare plan, IHCP, may be accommodated or exempt from this mandate with a doctor's note in consultation with the school nurse. A release must also be signed in the event that the school nurse or school physician needs to consult with the student's doctor. Any staff member with a medical condition that prohibits the use of any type of face covering must provide a doctor's order and may be asked to sign a release to allow the school nurse/school physician to speak to their healthcare provider. The required use of masks will remain in effect until the school committee ends the requirement. Those were the changes that were discussed at the last meeting. This is the second read, and so we're requesting approval.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. The policy GBE staff health and safety is approved. Number 2, JHCC communicable diseases, second reading. Dr. Cecil.
Yes, there were no changes to that, so that's already been read. So we're voting on this as a policy.
JHCC.
Second.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
Aye.
5-0. Thank you.
I will have this out tomorrow
Thank you very much, Dr. Cecil.
and post it on the Warwick website.
Thank you. New business. Tollgate AP scores.
Good evening, Madam Chair and school committee members. Thank you for taking the time to have me come on tonight. I also have Regina Wilkinson, our guidance department chair, and John Livesey, our assistant principal of teaching and learning. I've come to you tonight to share some really great news with you. Tollgate offers 16 advanced placement classes. We have received our scores after this year's tests. And out of the 16 classes that we offer, 11 of our AP classes outperformed the state, and 10 of the 10 classes outperformed globally. Now, this year, AP was given a little bit differently, but everybody took the same test. So it's a real testament to my teachers and my students, to the attention that they have given to preparing themselves for this. Mrs. Wilkinson has worked very hard with College Board to provide practice tests and communication to our students. Mr. Livesey also, when we look at making our students college and career ready, these are the kind of things that, or tests that when they change on a dime, our kids are ready to tackle and have done exceptionally well. To break it down a little further, so to receive college credit, you have to score a 3 or higher on the test, which is also an incentive for when you go to college. You don't have to pay for those credits. So if I break it down for you, to get a score of 5 does not happen often. We had 32 5s. We had 57 4s. We had 81 3s. 51 2s that were almost 3s, and 21 1s. So that is 170 tests that scored a 3 or higher out of 242. So I attribute that to the work that we have done in terms of, again, making kids college and career ready, but upping the rigor of what we are expecting of our students. At the end of every school year or normal school year, we meet with students who have signed up for AP classes and explain to them the expectations along with their parents, and both the parent and the student sign a document that says they are committed to what is required of them. We have seen an exponential increase of students who take AP classes. AP classes are open to everyone. You do not have to be an honor student to take an AP class, and we have a lot of students that are very successful in areas that they have interest in. I will say, actually, even one or two of those classes, 100% of the students scored a 3 or above. And that is a great accomplishment. And it is a testament to the work that we have all put in. And I will say, to borrow someone else's phrase, it takes a village in order for our students to be successful. But I am incredibly, incredibly proud of my teachers and my students and my staff. And I just wanted to be able to share that information with you tonight.
Madam Chair,
Thank you so much, Dr. Thornton.
Ms. Calori, could you compare these results to the last, say, 4 or 5 years? How's it look?
Well, so it's a little difficult to compare because this test is different than the one that has been given in the past. But again, I would say that everybody took the same AP test online this year. So it's a little difficult to compare. But I would say if you look at our past, our scores have increased, every year. They have increased. And that has had a lot to do with the dedication of our teachers to going to be re-educated over the summer, looking back at past test results and looking to see where there might be gaps. So although it is a little difficult to compare to the past years, we've increased every year. But again, I would say that everybody took the same test this year. So we are comparing apples to apples when you look at the state and globally.
Thank you so much. Excellent news. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, may I?
Mr. Testa?
Thank you. Ms. Calori, Ms. Wilkinson, all I can say is thank you. There's a lot at play here. I couldn't be more pleased. This is what happens, I believe, when you set expectations high for all kids. When you said that, you don't have to be an honor student to take an AP course, and then you do very well in it. That I think kind of encapsulates what education's all about. Find where that sweet spot is for that student, and set an expectation and give them an opportunity. So, and I think bringing the parents in is a tremendous idea. So the expectations are set. It's all clear. Everybody knows what's expected of them. So it works. And I think if nothing else, it proves that it works. It is a testament, like you said, to you, your staff, the teachers who teach it, the kids, the students, I should say, who do the diligence and take the exam. And it is the same exam for everyone. So, you're not going to say this is a COVID exception because kids globally took the same exam as the kid in Warwick. So hats off to you, your teams, the guidance departments, the teachers, the students, the faculty and staff, everybody involved. Because this is good news. This is the stuff I really like to see. So I just say keep our foot on the gas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Ms. Cobden?
I would just like to reiterate, thank you for your hard work and providing what our kids need, and to show that Warwick does have a good education facilities, and pushing kids to do the max. I agree with Mr. Tester on that. I think it's great. I think if we can find a kid that's really good, and maybe he or she isn't a full-time honor student, but can succeed in a subject, and I think it's great to let them try. And I again thank you all for your support to our wonderful students.
Thank you, Ms. Cobden. Mr. Libsey?
I think one of the things that may get lost in this is that those 4 or 5 weeks coming up to the AP exams is really crunch time for our students, and the pressure is on the teachers. And our teachers did it through distance learning, and they really stepped up, and it showed in our results.
Thank you. Thank you all for all your hard work. Moving on, we're going to move to item number 3, discussion action, reopening of Warwick schools. Dr. Thornton, Stephenville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, school opening is a topic we could spend the entire meeting on tonight, but tonight I'll try to frame where we are in a much shorter period of time. I would tell you that new information can and does come across our desk or phone almost on an hourly basis on this topic. Last week, we submitted our best thinking to RIDE, and then on Friday, something else took place that reshaped our thinking again. So I want to start tonight by interacting with Mr. Oliver and kind of take the committee through some of the information Mr. Oliver gleaned out of last week's meeting. Mr. Oliver, are you with me tonight?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right. So, Mr. Oliver, you were at a meeting last Friday, with a Dr. Erin Bromage.
Yes, sir, I was.
And what was the purpose of the meeting?
To give guidance to maintenance school directors, give them guidance and better ideas on how to open schools and keep them safe for students and staff.
Okay. And as I understand it, he was brought in by the state with a PhD in microbiology and some in other parts of that field from UMass Dartmouth. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. Okay,
so when the meeting started, was there a discussion on something called air exchange?
Yes, there was. He recommended that airflow, outside air, was an important thing to keep the virus down. Fresh air was very important. Obviously, he was recommending box fans, air purifiers, all those things of that nature. But building ventilation was one of the biggest pieces that he spoke about. Obviously, he wanted the room to change its entire air capacity 4 to 6 times through the course of an hour.
So can you characterize, Kevin, 4 to 6 times? Is that a pretty high standard? And what schools in Warwick can achieve that standard?
Warwick Vets is a brand new building, so that will exceed the 4 to 6 times based on the new ventilation system we have there with the AC and all that. Most of our buildings are older buildings when the air quality wasn't, the air exchange wasn't the same as today's, his standard. Our standard is acceptable, but he's saying he would like to see more of an air exchange in a classroom.
And did he mention when you couldn't achieve the 4 to 6, did he talk about other remedies in the classroom?
Can you repeat that, sir?
When you don't achieve the 4 to 6 air cycles in that period of time, did he have other ideas on how to help that situation?
Right. Box fans, air purifiers to help clean the air, windows open, things of that.
So to help frame that, if you were to put, let's say, box fans in Pilgrim, how many would you need approximately?
I would need, just for classrooms alone, just about 100 for Pilgrim. Probably across the district, just for classrooms alone, I would need 1,000 box fans in order to have one for every classroom.
And did you have a conversation on the amperage and how that works in schools in Rhode Island, in Warwick in particular?
The what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you were saying.
Amperage for box fans.
Yeah, all the directors had the same issues that Warwick has. Power is at a premium when it comes to powering things up. Air conditioners, extra plugs, things of that nature. We just don't have the power.
Thank you. Now, did window AC units come up?
Yes, they did. He was to the opinion that it just recirculated the air in the room and not filtered the air in the room.
Okay. And did he discuss older buildings where you might open a door and a window and achieve negative pressure? Did that come up?
Yes, it did. He wanted, if you could open a window to get the air flowing across the classroom, he was very adamant about making sure things like that could happen.
Right. So that would happen certainly in September, but how would that be achieved in October, November, December?
That's a good question, Dr. Thornton. Obviously, we can't have our windows open cold air, things of that nature. It's going to be a struggle to figure out a way to ventilate the rooms the way that he recommended.
Thanks. Did you have a discussion over physical proximity in classrooms, social distancing?
Yes, he was recommending 6 feet or at the minimum of 3. The more distancing he felt there was more acceptable, the farther the students could be apart from each other.
And if you couldn't achieve it, did he have a model to place a safe barrier between students?
Right. He demonstrated putting 4 desks together, placing PVC structure and adding shower curtains to the PVC structure. At that point, all the directors in the room pretty much stood up and said that violates fire code in the state of Rhode Island.
Okay. And I understand also you went into a couple of classrooms. One classroom did not have exterior windows. Can you talk about that part of the conversation?
Correct. His phrase was put a hard X on it. If you had a classroom that didn't have any windows and couldn't maintain good airflow, it was an unusable room.
So can you characterize that for Warwick? How do we fare with that piece?
For instance, Tollgate, has a good portion of their rooms are classrooms without windows. Windman also. I could probably guesstimate about half of the classrooms at Tollgate and Pilgrim are interior rooms.
Okay, thank you. Now, going back to the plan we submitted to RIDE, you certainly had a part in that plan. Can you go through, just for the committee, some of the thinking behind, we asked for an additional 86 custodians for our multiple locations. How do you arrive at that number? What goes into that?
Well, I looked at the CDC guidelines, what the criteria of how they wanted the building disinfected and cleaned through the course of the day. Obviously, we would add staff during the day to help clean bathrooms and common areas, clean through the course of the day, help with changeover of classrooms when children moved that they had to move. So it was based all upon that.
And as of last week, Mr. Oliver, if memory serves, we had 12 applicants for the 86 positions. Is that still where you believe it is?
I believe, yes. Last I talked to Ms. Ruggieri, it was at 8, I believe.
Thank you. Mr. Oliver, thank you. And if I could just transition 1 second to Mr. McCaffrey. Bill, I have one question for you, if I could. Are you there, Bill?
Yes, absolutely.
I know there's much discussion in the community and the media at large around what's called passing time. Certainly in Atlanta, we saw that picture. And I think sometimes you may see non-educators giving positions that maybe should be informed by educators. So Bill, I want to go to you on this. In a high school or middle school schedule, when people say we should just stagger them and solve the problem, can you explain why it's not that simple?
And the high school level, students aren't teamed. The way that we schedule, they travel from one course to the next course to the next period. They have 6 periods a day that they'll be traveling to. It's impossible in the sense that the common areas that we have available, gymnasiums, libraries, auditoriums, cafeterias, have limited capacities. We can't put a couple of hundred students in a cafeteria, in an auditorium, in a gymnasium to allow for a staggered scheduling to happen. Students have to go somewhere. They have to be supervised. My 16 years of experience as a principal and assistant principal, 95% of the problems happen when students are unsupervised traveling within the hallway area. And it's something that we just can't do without having common areas available in large capacities to stagger it the way that they are suggesting in the guidance.
Thank you, Bill. I just want to touch on the common theme I'm hearing. If I could transition to Ms. Danbrook just for one quick question. Ms. Danbrook, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Could you just relay for the committee the latest survey results and any observations you have on the survey? The parent survey.
Sure. So after our plan was released, we sent out a survey to parents and guardians last week. 3,757 responses were received. The following question was included in the survey. If the district goes back to school using the hybrid partial attendance model? Would you send your children back to school? Would you keep your children home for distance learning? And are you not sure which model you choose? So 41.8% of parents answered they would send their children back to school. 26.4% said they are opting for the distance learning, and 31.7% of parents are undecided on which model they choose. But some real strong parent concerns and comments involved the lack of ability to keep the schools clean throughout the day without having the proper custodial staffing. Also, they were concerned about their children wearing masks all day long. They were concerned about the lack of ability to be properly social distancing happening in the classroom. They were also very concerned about COVID being brought home from school. Brought home from school, and there are many members of their families who have compromised immunities. They know they need human connections, but at this point, until there's a vaccination or until the numbers start declining, a lot of parents were not comfortable sending their children to school. But the cleaning was a big concern, or the lack of ability to keep schools clean.
Ms. Denberg, thank you. And I have one last individual. Mr. Ferrucci, are you with me?
Yes, I am, Superintendent.
Tony, can you just frame fiscally where we are in terms of our budgeted requests going in for reopening, school, hybrid, or virtual, and where you think we are right now positioned as of today, in the middle of August?
Me too. As I had reported previously, the 11 subcommittees of the task force created budgets for their various operations. And as Mr. Oliver said earlier, the difficulty in even having candidates applying for the jobs is a logistical problem. It's not only in the custodial area, but it also is in the transportation area, where the requirements were calling for, or guidelines were calling for, having monitors on all buses, not just at the elementary level, and the lack of a depth of pool. So we got a logistical issue. But from a fiscal perspective, if we had all the bodies for the positions needed, they have a budget where, whether it be full in or hybrid, anywhere, a situation where we have students coming to schools, it's a $15 million tab that we're faced with. Of that $15 million, it's all new expenses to the district. The current year's school budget is balanced without having these additional expenses. So far, the only funds awarded to communities for supporting these additional expenses is from the CARES Act, the federal grant, the ESSER grant. Warwick has been authorized to seek $1.2 million. As of this morning, the grant application that Warwick Public Schools has submitted has been returned for further revision, so it's not been approved by the state of Rhode Island as of today. But we know we're expecting that $1.2 million to support the $15 million worth of needs. That leaves us with a $13.8 million hole to contend with if we had the staffing available to meet our needs. The only other piece of source of dollars that's potentially out there is what they refer to, again from the from the CARES Act, is coronavirus relief. And that's a grant that Warwick is scheduled to receive $1.7 million. As of today, there has been no guidance on how to access those funds. So even if we receive those funds at some point in the near future, we are still staring at a $12.1 million deficit. Concurrent with that, the state of Rhode Island has not passed the state budget. And there is discussion that if the relief that the federal government is considering to pass on to the states is not enough funding, that the school department will receive a cut in the proposed funding for the general fund school budget. This is similar to what happened at the end of June. The state cut $1.4 million before they made their final payment to Warwick Public Schools, and then turned around and said, you'll have an opportunity to get those funds from the CARES Act, which happened to be the 1.2. So they deducted it and gave us federal dollars. It's very possible they could cut our state aid and turn around and say, you can use the federal dollars. We have not received that guidance. So the best case scenario as of today, we're $12.1 million deficit with regards to being able to fund the corona needs that were identified by the task force.
Thank you, Tony. So school committee, that's kind of my thumbnail for you to get you thinking about where we are, today, August 11. Certainly things can change for the better. I would hope they would. But as of today, I would tell you, as superintendent, I have significant concerns of where we are right now on August 11. I'm happy to open it up to questions from the committee.
Any questions for the superintendent? Any questions for the superintendent?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Testa,
Thank you.
you have a question?
Yeah, Dr. Thornton, thank you. So you have, obviously have a lot of meetings, weekly meetings with RIDE. And with the governor's latest delay, which was today for 2 more weeks, I mean, I can't ask you what your prediction is going to be. Do you think the extension was to buy time to further study the plan submitted by the districts, or is it to actually try to figure out the problems that the districts have brought up with reopening?
I don't think it's a question of the plans. I think the plans are understood as they're submitted. I think it's probably the other variables in terms of what's happening around the nation and other pieces in terms of fiscal issues, operational issues, transportation, and now certainly environmental as it came up from their expert on Friday.
Right. I mean, the building infrastructure issues, you can't change those in a matter with 2 extra weeks, right? That you just can't do that. I think Mr. Oliver kind of made that clear. Okay, thank you. I was just wondering what your thought was on that 2-week extension.
So at this point, the governor has created yet another delay on a decision as to whether we're going to have our kids go back to school in person, on a hybrid plan, full plan, or whether we're going to go back virtually. There is no funding coming forward from the state or the federal to allow us the funds to return to school under a hybrid model, much less a full model, which we were not able to provide. And we have families who are in a pickle because they want to know what's going on, and we haven't been able to give them any answers thus far because we've been waiting for the governor and RIDE to give us answers, which they haven't brought forward. But the more we learn, the more we understand that children, teachers, students, and families are going to be impacted by COVID if we return to school. In fact, 100,000 kids have been diagnosed with COVID in the past 2 weeks. And not everybody's tested, so that's a scary number. At this time, I would ask our committee members to protect children, youth, and teachers, and support personnel, and to begin the new school year using distance learning for all. And I would ask the superintendent and his administration to look into what we can do for our special ed students, alternatively assessed, and our tech students, because we know that they need more. We want to give them what they need. How do you feel, my colleagues, about this? Ms. Cobden.
In and I have been for about a month. Totally for distance learning. I sat on the committee for reopening of schools, and I was also.
We lost your sound, Cobden. Miss Cobden, we have no sound for you.
The time, the extreme amount of money to revamp all our schools, to equip our schools to have this virus floating around, that we can do it safely. So I'm in complete agreement. I actually just saw it.
We lost you again. Ms. Cobden, you have no sound.
We were put into our seats to take care of our community, and to send our kids to school. I don't think is taking care of our community. I think we're going to have a lot of problems with it. I don't think it's safe for our staff. I don't think it's safe for the kids to go home possibly having it. I mean, in 2 weeks, there's 100,000 kids that have it now, and it's because they started school. So I'm in complete agreement to do distance learning. I think people also need to know what we're doing, and it's just not parents. I think teachers and administration. I think we can do such great things with distance learning. And instead of banging our heads trying to figure out how to open a school safely when we know it's impossible, I think we need to focus on the distance learning side. I think parents need to know what we're going to do. The teachers need to know what they're going to do. And we need to all work as a community and do the best for our kids and their education by distance learning. And I think things can work better. We were, I feel, very successful in Rhode Island, and probably on a state level, not just state, but countrywide. I think we did a great job. Our kids were equipped. They had the internet. They had Chromebooks. I know our teachers worked exceptionally hard. I know my administration worked very hard. And I think collaboratively, with the time that we have between now and the new opening day would be September 9th per the governor, with the kids' first day of school on the 14th, I think we can really create some great things and do it even better. So I am all for distance learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cobden.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Cornell?
Yeah, I feel like this is pretty much our only option now, because the safety of students the highest priority. We need to guarantee that. And with the lack of money, we just cannot guarantee that right now. Like, as Mr. Frucci just said, best case scenario, about 20 mil, we would get about 20, what we would be in $20 million in the hole. However, we're still $12 million in the hole in 2 weeks. That's not going to change. So like, this is our only option, and we just don't have any alternatives right now. And I understand how people, they want to get back to normal, go back to school, but we just can't do that right now. It's just not safe. So I'll be voting in favor of having full distance learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cornell.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Adams.
I just gotta echo everyone else. I can't wholeheartedly go in a direction that could potentially hurt students or other members of the community. I mean, we're here to give a proper education to kids, but we're also supposed to be giving them a safe environment. And I don't think that we can adequately do that given the state of the world, really, or this state, city, whatever it may be.
Mr. Adams.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Mr. Testa.
Thank you. I'll be the contrarian, but I'll qualify it. I see what all my colleagues are saying. My only quibble with it is I think tonight is a little premature to make the decision. Today's 2-week extension, I think the premise that we have to act tonight because parents need to plan, the 2-week extension just gave everyone an extra 2 weeks. I think there are some things we should look at, and I think the 2 weeks can buy us a little time. We can still turn around to refocus on improving distance learning, because I'm under no illusion that distance learning will replace classroom learning, and no one should be under that illusion. Last year, we were thrown into it, of course. I think it was a mixed bag. I would expect it to be a lot better this year, but it won't replace classroom learning. So all I would ask my colleagues is, instead of taking this action tonight, that we know what we need for custodial staff and lunch aides and things like that, and we haven't been successful in recruiting people for that. That's one major concern. I have another concern about district liability. If somebody comes down with the virus, if we went to school live, because that hasn't been addressed either at the state level or the federal level yet. And that's a big concern for me. Of course, the finances are too. But I think the picture is becoming clear based on what Dr. Thornton presented and what the administration presented to us tonight, that it's becoming increasingly difficult to open schools with an in-person environment. But all I would do is I would just advise us, even if we had a special meeting a week and a half from now, 2 weeks from now, after we try to get a little more information and then make that decision. Because as Dr. Thornton said, everything changes by the minute. And I understand what parents have to plan for, because last year I was a parent and I had to plan for this, for the closure of school too. So I don't think deciding tonight, like I said, in light of the 2-week extension, it is an impact on parents, because their kids weren't going to school until September 9th anyway. So again, I just want to go on record to say I don't disagree with this. I just don't know if tonight is the night we make the decision. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Testa. Anyone else? This time I'll make a motion to return to school via distance learning. I'll charge the superintendent to explore in-person learning of some sort, if possible, for students with IEPs, alternative assessments, and career and technical education, and to do so with his administration forthwith.
So moved. I'll second it. I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Nay. 4 in favor. Mr. Testa? Nay. Thank you. Superintendent, if you need any help, you can call on any one of us.
Absolutely. Whatever I can do to help.
Moving along, number 2, reopening Q&A meeting schedule. Did you want to?
Yes, actually, Madam Chair, if we can motion to table that was aligned and set to go in terms of explaining our best thinking right now with a hybrid model. So I might need a little time based on your vote just now to kind of recalibrate what that means. Certainly, we're going to have Q&As, but I would need a little time now to kind of recalibrate that thinking.
Thank you. Number 4, discussion action, substitute COVID-19 rate, teacher assistants, custodians, clerical, lunch aides, bus monitors. Ms. Stanbrook?
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the school committee, we decided that in order to recruit lunch aides, bus monitors, sub-teacher assistants, sub-clerks, that we'd like to increase the sub-rate pays. Right now, a lunch aide, for instance, makes anywhere between $10 and a little over $11. Bus monitors, $10.50. Sub-teacher assistants, a little over $11, and sub-custodians, almost $11. And we'd like to increase the sub-pay to $15 for all those categories. I don't know if Mr. Ruggieri wants to add anything.
Ms. Ruggieri?
She's not here.
So we did recently at the July 29th meeting, we did raise the rate for substitutes. You know, we know we're going to be in competition. You know, when we do go back to school, for all of these people to fill positions.
Thank you.
So I request that we raise the rates to $15 for those areas.
Any comment from the school committee? Any comment from the school committee? Of course, Mr. Ferrucci, how would we pay for this?
Well, the budgets that were created by the subcommittees included those rates. It's part of that $12 million shortfall that I spoke about earlier. And since it is COVID related in the actions you're taking this evening, I think it's all tied to if there's additional federal grants that come in to support opening schools, that we've budgeted it, we've got it identified, but currently it's not in the local budget.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrucci. This time I'll move sub-pay to $15 across the board for all categories as mentioned: teacher assistants, custodians, clerical, lunch aides, and bus monitors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. Next up, we will be discussion action, wealth tuition for 2020 to 2021. Recommendation, Mr. Ferrucci, Ms. Danbrook, Dr. Conley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To follow up on our WELC tuition from last year, the school committee made a decision that the success of the virtual learning program after we had to close the WELC Center and in support of the community and the economic impacts that they were placed under, that we reduced the monthly tuition by 50%. This evening, for the same reasons, what I would like to do is offer the following: that there's no increase in tuition proposed for the upcoming school year. And we also are asking this evening that you sustain a tuition rate no matter what transpires over the course of the school year, whether we go to a full, whether we have a hybrid, or whether we stay virtual, so that the community will know what we're looking for tuition rates for typical peers. Our current cost is $146 a month, or $1,460 for the whole school year. That is our full in-person, and so I would say we sustain that with no increase. That should help out the community, given the economic impacts they are facing. Both the hybrid model and the virtual model do require teachers to be involved with students at home, and so I think we sustain what we had put in place last year, which is 50% of the monthly rate, so it's $73. I did go on to explain some of the procedure of the billable process, and so what we'd like to do is say at the beginning of every month, depending on what's been determined, that's how we would bill the family. And if there is a change in model from month to month, the business office would periodically, and I'm looking at December and April, recalculate what the premium should be. So if we were to have a full in and it's $146 the 1st of October, let's say, and then a week later we need to move to a hybrid or a virtual, but the parents paid the full because it was October 1, they would get credits and or receive a refund under my current proposal. I think it's what's in the best interest of the school department, but it also balances the impact that community's facing given the current situation. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we do seek your approval.
Any questions, comments?
Move approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Ferrucci.
Thank you.
We will be putting issues 6 through 10 off until our next meeting, and we're going to go to number 11, discussion action, authorized bond funding expenditures, bid award, 7 elementary playgrounds. Mr. Gothberg.
Sorry, Madam Chair, you caught me by surprise. I didn't-
Sorry about that. Take your time.
How's everybody tonight? Good. On July 7th, there were 3 bid packages for the 7 playgrounds that are scheduled for this summer that were brought forward to the building committee. All of them were significantly over budget. So they were reviewed and considered by the 6 members present at that meeting. And after reviewing everything and after much discussion, it was unanimously agreed that I should attempt negotiation with the lowest bidder, hoping to reduce the costs and bring these things to a point where we could offer contracts on them. So in that month, I negotiated with Green Acres, and we were able to come up with some substantial savings in a couple areas. I also was able to realize some money that was left over from some of the other projects from this summer due to the good bids that we got on the other projects due to the COVID impact. So on the August meeting, I brought back those considerations and negotiated numbers, and we were able to come up with the numbers that are shown in the packet that you have in front of you. So some are still over budget. 5 out of the 7 are still over budget, but due to the monies left over from the other projects, we can move forward with them, and we're able to apply the savings to the 2 projects do not have money available because they don't have other projects happening, and bring them all in. So the total package for the 7 playgrounds are $1,002,518. I'm happy to answer any questions. It's a bit convoluted. I'm sorry I stumbled over that a little bit, but we were able to make it happen. So we are seeking approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Gothberg?
I have just one quick one, Madam Chair, if I may.
Mr. Testa.
Mr. Gothberg, thank you for the presentation. The significant savings that you talked about with Green Acres, can you just, that was the one about the equipment, right?
Well, there were 2 areas.
Yeah, explain that, please.
Okay, actually 3 areas. First area was because we were dealing with one company, they could supply the playground structure supplier could deliver everything in one delivery and save 6 other delivery charges. That savings came up to $32,000. Additionally, because if we took the poured in place, and instead of having 7 mobilizations for the poured in place company and do 1 mobilization, and they come in after all the structures are in, do the poured in place, in 1 mobilization, we're able to save $42,000. And then we were able to negotiate another $10,000 in savings with Green Acres. They gave back $10,000 on their bid. So approximately $84,000 we were able to negotiate.
Thank you. I appreciate the effort, and that's just good to hear. So I'm happy about that. The playgrounds are the most visual thing from this bond money. It's the most visual thing for parents and students. It's not roofs. It's not, the boring stuff. It's playgrounds. Thank you.
A lot more exciting than roofs. Absolutely.
Right.
A lot more exciting is right. Thank you, Mr. Gothberg. Anyone else? Being no further discussion, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Discussion action, bid award technology, Chromebooks and accessories. Welcome, Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, Dr. Thornton and colleagues. We're here tonight to make a recommendation to go out to rebid for Chromebooks. When I began a few weeks ago, and I had some excellent meetings, I was brought up to speed on a Chromebook bid that had gone out back in May, and it was priced out for 1,500 devices as part of the ESSER funding that Mr. Ferrucci reviewed earlier, and part of the budgets that were put together by the teams that looked at opening schools with the various models. We were looking at increasing that number to 3,600 devices, and with the thinking that that would allow us to go one-to-one in our elementary grades. Because the number increased so drastically, I thought it fiscally prudent to go out for another bid, because any small savings we could get by increasing that quantity by so many devices would mean savings either for the district or more devices for the district. There is no delay, it appears, from our vendors on the timeline. They're looking to fill these types of orders between October and November. So it would not hinder our deliverance of the devices. So that's, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Taylor?
Madam Chair, I do.
Okay, Mr. Sesta.
Thank you. Hello, Dr. Taylor. Long time no see. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir.
So did I understand, are we looking to end up where we'll be one-to-one throughout the entire district?
Yes, so the additional devices, 3,600 devices would allow us to go one-to-one in our elementary grades, 1 through 5, and then obviously continue our one-to-one 6 through 12, which we currently do.
Okay, good. And then with the vote we took tonight to start distance learning, are we concerned that we don't have enough devices to start the year for all of our students?
So as of this point, we've, the 6th graders, which is a big launch year for devices, will be coming from, just as was done last year, devices that were handed back in. And that will get continuing our 6 through 12 one-to-one program. And then as we shifted to distance learning in the spring of last year, we had disassembled the various carts in the elementary schools, and we have those Chromebooks in-house and can provide that technology to anybody that needs that device. When these devices come in, we'll have to strategize getting those out as quick as possible at key strategic grade levels as to ensure that everybody has the devices 1 through 12, but also we have a plan in place for when students get new devices on different points. So if we're going to continue, say, give all of our 6th graders new devices, that would impact our thinking and our logistical planning to ensure that what types of devices 5th graders get, knowing they might get a new device next year. But we would look to do, as soon as we get these devices in, ready them for the students as quick as possible and get those out to our families, so that way we could help with the distance learning piece.
Cool, thanks. Yeah, 3,600, that's the most I think we've ever gone out to bid for. I think we may have gone for 2,200, I think, before that, maybe 23. So hopefully, you know, it's reflected in the price a little bit. So thank you.
Thank you. You need a vote on that.
I move approval. Oh, no. Yeah, I move approval to go out to bid, right? Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guys, have 5-0. Thank you. Number 13, discussion action, bid award maintenance, fire extinguisher inspection services. Mr. Oliver.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm requesting that you award this contract for our fire extinguisher inspections throughout the district.
Thank you. Are they overdue now, or?
No, they will be all set. They need to be done this month in order for us to be up to date.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Oliver? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you.
Discussion action contract award athletics Pilgrim football scoreboard. Mr. Ricks.
Evening, Madam Chair and committee. What you have before you today is the scoreboard. We had tried to buy both of them last year. We had a lengthy discussion that they were in terrible shape. We replaced toll gates this past year, and the company that replaced toll gates offered to maintain the same price that they installed toll gates scoreboard for Pilgrim. So I come before you today to seek that approval.
Thank you, Mr. Ricks. Are there any questions, Mr. Ricks, on this matter?
Just one, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Did we budget a little more for this? Was the budget like 24, 25 originally?
Last year, Mr. Testa, we budgeted 30 and it came in for this amount. What I budgeted, I'm pretty sure I budgeted for this exact amount.
All right.
But I can check on that for you.
No, that's fine. No, I look forward to seeing a scoreboard that works. So if we have sports. Thank you.
I move approval.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Hope we get to use it sooner rather than later. Number 15, discussion action, contract award, maintenance, grant, sanitizing supplies. Mr. Oliver.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I'm requesting the approval of hand sanitizer for the entire district to start us off for the upcoming school year.
Do we not have any right now?
No, we have some in house. This is to fulfill the need long term.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Oliver?
Yeah, I do, Madam Chair. I have one. Mr. Oliver, this is for hand sanitizing in the schools, but are you concerned that we wouldn't be able to get it if we delayed this purchase because we're going to go all virtual?
Absolutely. I'm very concerned about getting any type of disinfecting or hand sanitizer material.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Discussion action, contract award, secondary Rhode Island Link Library Services. Mr. McCaffrey.
Madam Chair and members of the school committee, I'm asking for your support for the renewal of the Rhode Island Link membership for our secondary schools. Rhode Island Link supports the school libraries, library media specialists, teachers, staff, and students with shared resources and training throughout the state.
Thank you, Mr. McCaffrey. Any questions, Mr. McCaffrey? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Discussion action, contract award, special education, Star Autism renewal. Dr. Conley.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, Dr. Thornton, and my colleagues. I'm very excited to put this forward. This is a renewal of the STAR Media Center, which has been a highly successful program for our students in alternate assessment and also some students at WELC. This also includes a subscription to the LINKS transition curriculum that I have advocated for several years and was very pleased that it was able to be included in the budget for this year. I think that's going to have a fantastic impact for our older students with significant disabilities. I respectfully request your approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. Does anyone have any questions? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you're up for the next few, Dr. Conley.
It's Christmas morning for me. I'm also very excited to bring forward this request for 5 additional Edmark reading kits. We've really worked hard over the last couple of years to get high quality special education curriculum in the hands of our teachers. We still have far to go, so I will continue to come to you and ask for money and approval, but I'm pleased to request approval for 5 additional kits that we'll be purchasing and providing to our teachers this year.
Can you explain what Edmark does, a little bit about it?
Sure. The Edmark Reading Program is developed specifically for students with special education needs. It teaches the high frequency words that are a huge component of learning how to read. So it's words like of, were, it, is, at. If students can master these words, it puts them at a great advantage for, learning other words. And a lot of these words you can't decode. This program was developed, as I mentioned, specifically for students with special education needs. It's highly repetitive. It's very visual. It also has a comprehension component. It's been around for many years. It's evidence-based, and the teachers love it. We were able to get free access to the online Edmark program. I'm gonna, hopefully be able to budget for that in the fall as well. But this is 5 actual kits that teachers will be able to use with students.
Wonderful.
And I respectfully request your approval.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Conley? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
What was that, Ms. Coppin?
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No, I think the playback from you went through.
Sorry. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Dr. Conley, number 19,
Yes.
Special Ed Wilson Reading Program.
I'm super excited about this one. This is professional development for 10 teachers to be able to attend a 3-day training on Wilson reading. Wilson is different from Edmark. It's actually a strategy for teaching students, specifically students with learning disabilities, how to decode. We have not been able to do any Wilson training in the state for several years. It's a privately owned company. For whatever reason, they weren't doing trainings in Rhode Island. That has started again through West Bay Collaborative. So I'm very excited to be able to send 10 teachers and grateful that it got approved in the budget, and I request your approval.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. Are there any questions? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you again.
And number 20, discussion action, contract award, special ed testing materials. Dr. Conley.
Me again. We've been working hard with a lot of support from my related service providers, school psychologists, speech language pathologists on updating our special ed testing. A lot of it was very out of date. So every year we try to purchase new tests for our educators to use. And a lot of this request too is testing protocols, which we have to replace annually. So I respectfully request your approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions with regard to testing materials? I can tell you that we do replace them annually, and they're needed, and I move approval.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And moving right along, number 21, discussion action, contract award technology, community instructional mobile hotspots. Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I know this was a topic at at the last school committee meeting, and it prompted a few questions. And so I did spend some time over the last few weeks digging into some information that I'd like to share with you this evening. Back when distance learning kicked off in the spring, we had secured 100 hotspots. And the purpose of the hotspots was to provide connectivity for families that needed connectivity. Now that aligned more than likely with the governor's press conference where she said cellular companies were going to be providing free hotspot services. And so that was our device that we could give to families so they could connect. In addition to the 100 hotspots, we also have 300 SIM cards. And the 300 SIM cards are the tiny little cards that go in the hotspots that give it a cellular number that makes it work as a hotspot. So we have 300 SIM cards and 100 hotspots. There was some work done with, I believe, administrators back in the spring to ascertain who might benefit from this connectivity, which families could benefit from this. And there were approximately, I think, 30 families that had expressed interest, of which approximately 20 to 25 hotspots were loaned or out to the families, again, with 20 to 25 SIM cards. The rest of the hotspots and the SIM cards are here in a closet in my office. And I went through and I inventoried everything because we were getting these T-Mobile bills and we were trying to piece together where they were coming from and why. So the hotspot service is $20 per month. And that $20 per month is times 300 SIM cards for a total of a $6,000 bill each month. Somehow all of these SIM cards are activated, although over 200 of these SIM cards still have the small SIM card attached to the card. Looks something like this. And there's a small SIM card that's not even broken off of the card. And so my recommendation in talking with Mr. Ferrucci is to not approve a $72,000 annual purchase, but really look into T-Mobile and having a conversation with T-Mobile and how they're billing us for an unauthorized expenditure of $6,000 a month, and then either shutting down all of the SIM cards and just authorizing those that need that, should the committee wish to continue that service for families who need the connectivity. But in looking at the past, if we've got about 20 of these issued at $20 a month, we should be seeing $400 bills each month for a total of $1,200 for the months of June, July, and coming up in August, not for 300 SIM cards, of which 280 have not been distributed. So I would seek support to have those conversations and to work with Mr. Ferrucci to talk with T-Mobile and work all of that out. I defer to Mr. Ferrucci if he has anything else.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. My only comment is I concur with Mr. Taylor with regards to his recommendation. And my only add probably would be to buy us some time and not to turn off the SIM cards for the family going into September. So just buy that extra month. So my recommendation would be the 3 times the 400 per month for the 4 months, buying a September. So we'd be asking for your approval this evening for $1,600 to just pay what we issued to families. And I stand behind and will lead the conversation that if the vendor did not have a legitimate purchase order demonstrating that the authorization was properly in place, and since we have no record of using that service, why should we pay for it? And I'd be happy to have that conversation with T-Mobile. And then we'll come back to you in September as to what we want to do for the month of March going forward. So that's all we would like to have taken care of this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Ferrucci and Dr. Taylor, if somehow we're on the hook for this because somehow it was authorized, I would like to know about that sooner rather than later. Like as soon as you find out, I think we want to know. So at this point, I will move approval on that.
Second. I have a question,
Mr.
Madam Chair. Dr. Taylor or Mr. Ferrucci, so you said that the cards were essentially where you are and they've been activated. So how much have we paid?
Nothing, right?
So the only expenditure that I can see going back in an invoice was for about $4,200 that was paid back for the first partial month of service. I believe that was May into June as I look back at the records. There was a payment made to T-Mobile for that amount, and it was a fraction of the $6,000 because it was a fraction of a month's time. It was less than 30 days.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't every month spending money for something. Okay, thank you.
Is there any way that we can recoup that money, or?
We'll bring that up in negotiations, but I know that we did bring that before us and what we were advised at the time. But yes, we'll have that conversation as well, concurrent.
I feel duped. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you.
Discussion action, contract award, transportation annual renewal routing system.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You have before you our request to renew the program we refer to as Traversa. It is the student management system and the routing system in the transportation office. This is the one where we've been doing the mapping, et cetera. We'll have explanations at the next meeting with the documents I provided earlier this evening that was tabled. But it's a critical program that we use. We moved from the old style paper and pencil and moved into the 21st century. And we had this program in place 2 years now, and it's proved very successful. So we have to seek your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Ferrucci. Are there any questions for Mr. Ferrucci? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. Number 23, discussion action, contract award curriculum, Squiggle Park renewal, Miss Amelot. Ms. Amelot?
You muted.
Sorry about that. We are renewing our license for Squiggle Park, which supports K-2 students, but it also offers us free access for our elementary school students 3 through 5 for comprehension. I apologize. I do have a headache tonight. For comprehension activities, and this is a program that we have used, and I suggest that we continue to use that as teachers are beginning to plan with that in mind.
Are there any questions for Ms. Amelot? There being none, I move approval.
Thank you so much.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much. Discussion action, contract award, special education, Stonova student instruction equipment, Dr. Conley.
Hi. This is a request for equipment needed for students who are deaf and hard of hearing. And I respectfully request your approval.
Absolutely. This time I move approval.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. 25, discussion action, contract award, special education, unique instructional program. Dr. Conley.
Yes, this is the program that we have been using for several years now. Again, for some of our most significant students, I just have to say we were so grateful that we had access to this program, which is online, when we had to go to distance learning, because we really feel like we were able to give solid distance learning to the majority of our students with significant needs. So this would be an annual renewal of this program, very successful. The teachers really appreciate having these materials, and I respectfully request your approval.
Thank you, Dr. Conley. Does anyone have a question or comment for Dr. Conley about unique? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Number 26, discussion action, contract award, elementary RIASP membership, Ms. Danbrook. Is that Rhode Island Association of Principals?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the school committee, I'm requesting a renewal of memberships to the Rhode Island Association of School Principals.
Does anyone have any questions for Stanbrook? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, actually not finally, Discussion action, contract award, maintenance electronic system renewal. Mr. Oliver.
Good evening. I would like to award this contract to monitor our burglar alarms throughout the district. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Oliver on the burglar system? Alarms. There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. And lastly, Mr. Oliver, discussion action, contract award, maintenance, quarterly inspection service, fire sprinkler systems.
Good evening. I'm asking that you approve this contract for our sprinkler systems throughout the district for inspections and service. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Critical need. There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. In accordance with school committee policy, administration will be presenting those expenses ranging from $1,000 to $4,999 as a consent agenda item. If a school committee member wishes to address any individual item noted, they may do so by referencing the index number of a particular document for the individual item to be removed from the consent agenda and to be addressed separate and individually from the agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like removed and placed separately? There being none, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you very much. Item L, future meetings. The school building subcommittee meeting.
These are all in the past.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, those are all in the past. But
There
we
will
do,
be an achievement subcommittee meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, August 12th, 2020, at 4 p.m. Correct?
Yes.
And that's on Zoom. And the next monthly school committee meeting is Tuesday, September
14.
14.
Tuesday, September 14th does not exist. We have Tuesday, September 8th.
It's
Tuesday, September 15th.
15th, yeah,
Okay.
15th.
Okay.
Tuesday, September 15th on Zoom.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just wanted to provide for the subcommittee, building committee. We are scheduled for September 8th, the week before the school committee meeting, the next meeting.
So Achievement Committee tomorrow, Building Committee September 8th, and next monthly school committee meeting Tuesday, the 15th of September. Anything else, Superintendent?
Nothing at this time, Madam Chair.
There being none, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have it 5-0. Be well, everybody. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.
You too.